Hello, my name is Bianca from the Ukrainian Actors and Actresses Fandom. Today at the Magic Behind Ukrainian Actors, I have a first timer. Usually we're talking to actors and actresses, but today we have a screen/script writer. Welcome, Yamile Vaena.
Thank you, Bianca. A lovely name, I must say.
Oh, thank you.
Well, let me introduce myself. Yamile Vaena. I'm Mexican. I've been working for Verticals for 3 years. I've been a writer of my whole life. I am a bestseller author in my country. I'm an awarded literature writer. And I started writing scripts in 2020 when we were all locked down. And it was funny how it started. I watched a very bad thriller and I said I could do it better. And I wrote a story, a whole series that maybe it can get done soon. I got the news not long ago that it might get done, and that's very exciting news. But well, I became a screenwriter, and I decided I started getting gigs. I'm fully bilingual. I realized in Mexico there are not a lot of opportunities for the Spanish version of scripts, but in English, the market is more interesting for we Mexicans. I started exploring the market. I connected with screenwriters. I didn't know at all any producer and whatever. And I started mingling and understanding and meeting people and whatever. And the first gig came and the second gig came, and then it just started happening. And once I get a gig of this Chinese company of this new format they were doing called Verticals, and I didn't quite understand. And when they told me it's a 1 minute episode, it's like from 80 to 120 episodes, and it's very popular here in China. And we want to develop this werewolf story. And I said, well, welcome. It's a gig and it pays bills and it works. And I remember when I accepted that all my American screen friends, colleagues were like, oh, that's the meaning that you're going to do. It's like making these little YouTube videos, like social media, like TikTok. Yeah. They were like, you're a real writer. You already have a movie done. What are you doing? And I said, it was fun and it paid the bills. What's wrong with it?
Right.
So
I have to see how you can do it.
That's what when it all started 3 years ago. And I didn't really realize Verticals were about to become the huge thing that they are now. But it kind of makes sense for me because I always wrote, as a writer, I was always brief. I love TikTok when TikTok was writing 140 characters. And that's because you need to think better if you want to be brief and be a good storyteller. I always like advertising because with think about not everybody saw as me, but back then when I was a little one or a young one, the TV, the open TV, the normal ads last like 20 seconds because that's in radio and in TV, and you need to make them so interesting that they would like to buy you things. They sell you things in 20 seconds. And I love that. I really love the way, I love two things. I love the way storytelling can connect with people.
That's true.
And that's the magic, even for whatever you want to do. You don't need the storytelling only for if you are a storyteller. You need the storytelling to share with your loved ones what happened to you that day. Yeah. You need the storytelling to sell a product. You need the storytelling to tell the doctor what happened to you and why are you sick. You need the storytelling when you have an accident. You need the storytelling when you're trying to apply for a job. You need for everything, And the interesting thing here is that if you understand that as brief as you can be, you can connect with other people, and it doesn't take long. Just try this. If you are walking on the street and you smile, some people you don't know, they in that instant, I guarantee you 99% of the people will smile you back.
That's true.
And that takes 1 microsecond, and you're connecting, and that's the story you're telling. You cannot do it very often because they will think you are a creepy person in this.
Okay. And let's say it this way, here in Germany, some people are a little bit grumpy. If you smile at them, they look at you. What do you want? But it's not everyone is like that.
Still, they connect. What does that? You interact with people.
That's true.
And the storytelling,
That's
the thing is, if you produce certain, we are at the end of the world, at the end of the day, we are humans. We do things for two things. We look for pleasure, or we want to avoid pain. That's the two things that move us. Everything we do, if you think about it, is to avoid pain or to search for pleasure. Why do you watch series? Because I need to disconnect from all the pain of my life, or I need to have fun. I work a lot. I need to have fun. And
like I say it always, the audience who's watching the Verticals, they most of them escape something, maybe, and sickness, maybe the stress of work, maybe an abusive relationship in which they are, unfortunately, or there are so many reasons just to escape for a moment. They looking for the entertainment, and those Verticals give it to us. For me, for example,
I'm sorry.
Go on.
Well, escaping is one thing, but they also look for something else. You have those two things. There are people. It's like people drinking. It's not a good simile, but it's like people drinking alcohol. Some people drink alcohol to have fun, to get loose, to relax, and some people drink alcohol to disconnect, to forget about their problems. And there are the two sides of it. You can
something positive and something negative.
At the end, those are the two reasons. For example, there are people who stay in a marriage that they don't want to be there anymore, but they stay there because it would be more painful to get out of it. So they avoid pain. That's why they stay there, even though it wasn't. And there are people that said, oh, well, I want more the pleasure of meeting someone that I fall in love again, and I'd rather go for the pleasure and forget every decision we take in life is, would you avoid fear or pain, or are you pursuing pleasure? And if you think about these two things that move us as human beings, as a storyteller, you're telling, you have to understand what moves your characters. And in this new vertical world, you have the ability to build this profound characters. It's a weird thing because the origin of Verticals is like, it's a distractor, it's like popcorn. It's not a meal. It's people used to see it. It's just a thing that gets you when you are washing the dishes, and gets you, or something that you don't have to think. You just have to distract yourself. You just have to. But that is not what Verticals are doing. What Verticals are doing is they are connecting. They are connecting. When you have pleasure, your brain has a new hormone that produces something. When you're scared, when you're anxious, that feeling also produces an hormone.
But I would like to know, how is it if you are writing for Verticals, a script or screenwrite? How does it work? Are the apps or production companies contacting you and say, hey, we want, for example, a werewolf story? Or do they just say, hey, we need a new script, go for it? You are feel free to choose the genre. and what is this about? How does it work? Do you have your freedom to decide how the story is going, or do they give you some subjects which you have to fulfill?
It all depends. It depends on the platform. It depends on the country you're working, the producer is working. At first, if they don't know you and you don't have it, the first gig I have, they asked me for a sample, writing sample, and I have to write like, I don't know, 5 episodes of this werewolf thing they gave me. And they watch what I did and they like it, and they hire me and they say, this is the story and this is how we do it. We need, and I realize every gig I have is different. It all depends on the company, on the producer you're working for. Normally, sometimes they have analyzed the best trope we want to produce now because the market is going there. Is like billionaire hidden identity triangle Harris. Well, they have this marketing metrics. It's a very interesting thing. They work with an algorithm, and Chinese companies they produce a lot of series. And a very interesting thing, a high executive from a Chinese company shared with me once. It was like we produce like 150 Chinese series in a week. I don't know. I don't remember the times made, but this was like they do it very quickly. In a week, they produce a lot, and just a couple works, and the other ones we don't even dedicate marketing for it. And the interesting thing in the vertical market is that these 2 series that work for them sustain the whole system of the company. It's a bit similar like the publishing business, that when I get into the publish, I used to be an editor in a publishing company, and the way it was like this business model is like mind blowing. This huge publishing, but they publish books, but the important thing is the quantity of if they publish like 100 books, only 2 of them will be bestsellers. The others,
that's true,
will be like, and these 2 bestsellers will support. Answering your question, sometimes they tell you what to do. Sometimes you suggest what to do. Sometimes they come for you and say, these are the tropes. What do you suggest? And sometimes they are surprise me, hit me, and it depends.
And which part do you like more? If you have your freedom and can do whatever you want, or if they give you some tropes which they need in this vertical?
I don't know. Sometimes it all depends. Sometimes it's fun to do things you will never do. Well, I never skate before, and I would have never skate again, but it's fun to do it. I love new challenges, but sometimes you have something to say. Sometimes you have an idea to pop. It's kind of what I really don't like, and I'm not afraid and I'm not shy to say it. What I really hate, is when they put you in the position to fix a very rotten thing, because that is like if you want to fix a building that's not well built, and that will take you a long way to go. It will be a lot of work, and you will never get satisfied because it's bad done from the beginning, That I hate. I hate fixing things that someone else did wrong. And that is the thing I don't like. But there was sometimes I love when they ask for new ideas, because then you go, if you don't have any, you have to invent them. That's fun. And also when they approach and they say, we need you to write this love story between gay, I don't know, a gay mother and whatever. And you say, wow, I will never think about that. It's interesting. I could, well, as a writer, you have to be open for them to ask.
Yeah.
For example, I'm working right now with a Malaysian company, and what they say is, we will give you the story. You will need to, and you will develop it as a micro drama and vertical. And this particular job is interesting because they are doing it in English, but they are translating it to Malaysian. The job will be different, but they will. I asked them, "Are you open for me to pitch you some ideas?" And they said, "Yes, but here it's not that recommended, because when you sell it to the Open TV or whatever, I don't know when, for the distribution, they will not give you they want to own the IP. So for us, it's better to provide the IP so we don't have issues with the writer." And that's very understandable. It's okay. So it all depends.
Yeah, I think those production companies or apps who ask for a script writer to write scripts, they shouldn't take a look at the numbers which the apps are showing, how many views a show have, because in my eyes this don't count at all, because you always can fake those numbers, and they actually should they should do more surveys under the audience, what they want to see, what they don't want to see. If they want to create unique new stories, they should talk to the fans, because I think that's so much more important, because there are so many storylines which we've seen, it feels like 1,000 times, just a different cast, and they change just a few things of the storyline, but in the main part, the story is the same. You see it all over again. If the people are wondering why we are talking right now, because you are responsible for 3 verticals which are filmed in Ukraine. And since you work with Holywatear, the owners of MyDrama, there's another story which you wrote, which is shot in America. Let's say, and you wrote some good stories. There are some of my favorites in it. A Love Too Risky to Resist with Bogdan Ruban and Lee Berlinska. Oh, I love it. And the storyline is amazing, and how they filmed it, and the actors did a so good job in that. It's a very spicy one also, but they shot it in a very decent way. It's not in a dirty way. It's in a very decent way. And you are responsible for the first Ukrainian vertical of all time, The Alpha's Maid Who Cried Wolf, with Sasha and Maxim. And I like that a lot, because this werewolf story is so different to most werewolf stories I've seen before. And I just started to watch it today again. I didn't finish it because I didn't have the time, but by now I said, okay, I know this actress. I totally forgot to add it to her filmography, but they all did an amazing job, and I love this story. And ladies and gentlemen, and she is responsible for a very great story, which you all love because you were laughing in it. It's Bride for Lucifer. On your IMDb page, it's called a little bit different. I guess it's the name how it was called during the shooting or before they start to shoot. But it's Bride for Lucifer, was Artem Plonder and Marinka Boyko. And it's a great storyline too. You have to laugh, and there are so many scenes in it where I really, really enjoyed to watch it. And now the story which you wrote too, I actually thought it's a knockoff on the beginning, because there is a vertical made in Ukraine which came out before the storyline. But I watched it and I said, there are so many similarities. You wrote Teach Me, Touch Me. Oh God, what is the name? It was.
I believe that I had an issue with that, because as I wrote the scripts for Holywatear, they keep changing the titles, and
The Ukrainian version is named Too Young to Want Her Professor.
you know what I need to do? honestly, what I need to do is go into, and that's my bad because I what when they published one story that I recognize it because what they were the teacher and the student, the first one they took, and I don't remember if it was the first one. I spoke with Julia. Julia was my boss. She was a producer.
I know her.
Julia Smirnova.
I talked to her once.
Well, she's amazing. Working with her was a blast. I really like her, and she's so creative, so full of passion. And she was the one who
Yeah.
had me. And well, the thing is, when I saw the first story, the first series they published, and I said, "Oh wow, that's the story. That's great!" And I started saying, "This is my story." And then Julia said, "No, no, no, this is not yours. Yours is the other one." And I said, "You made two of them?" And I was like, "I'm not quite sure because you created the script. For example, A Love Too Risky to Resist. That title was not. Oh, and my title was.
By the way, of A Laugh Too Risky to Resist, there is a knockoff on MyDrama as well.
Okay.
It came out a little bit later, and I can't really pronounce the name of the male actor because I always get a knot in my tongue. There's a movie, it came later out, filmed by a different production company, not by Amo Pictures. It's called After All That Hurt. In A Laugh to Resist, you have the storyline, it's the age gap thing. She is 37, 39 and a sex therapist, and he's 21. And they know each other because she took care once of his grandfather. And then they didn't see each other in ages. And later they get back and meet each other again, and he's obsessed with her. Not in a bad way. He have a huge crush on her, and
she's marriage, and
she's in a bad marriage, and she feels slowly attracted to him, and so on. And it's a very spicy storyline. And After All That Hurt, please don't misunderstand me. The work of these actors was great as well. But I had the problem. I talked to a lot of fans. They said, we started watching this show, but we couldn't finish it because we always seen the original actors and we love the first story. We couldn't finish this one. And I'm sorry for those actors because I really did a great job. In Knockoff, it's she's a sex therapist as well, but she also used to be a teacher in a college, in a school where he was her student.
Oh, yeah.
And they met later again, and he warned her, and she's always denying it. It's not a good marriage in which she is, and sure, they get close to each other, and he has now a similar job, like in Love Too Risky to Resist. There are so many similarities, and I don't like it if they took the same storyline, just changed a little bit, and start now to doing, sorry for my language, the same shit like they do in all over the world. That they taking one storyline, changing just a little bit, and the cast, and showing the story again. Don't do it. And that's actually what I loved at MyDrama, that they being unique, that they showed only unique storylines, which don't repeat all the time. And now they started a few times changing that.
And it's sad because I have written stories for them that they are still not there, that are awesome. And it's not because I craft them, because I craft them with them. They are also very creative people, and working for them is amazing. And I can name you. Well, I cannot name you, but there are, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 more series that I never seen produced, and they are very cool. And it's and I was wondering if they are going to do it.
They have one storyline which is similar but still totally different. It's for once, it's Sold to the Possessive Mafia Boss with Adam Blonde and Sasha Anika. It's an amazing storyline. But they just released a lesbian vertical. which is the same storyline which you've seen before, but they still change it a little bit. And since the lead actors in this one, it's a male and a female, and the another one two ladies. It changed a little bit, but they made it good. But you could also immediately see the similarity between those two stories.
It's
And
weird because I wrote some very similar. I proposed some long line and very similar to that. I don't know if I haven't watched the one of the lesbians, but I don't know if you have ever watched the series. Right now it's at Netflix. It's called Killing Eve.
No, I don't know it because I don't have Netflix.
Well, this is a series. It's some series Killing Eve that this murderer serial kill. No, it's not serial killer. It's a killer for hire. It's a and she is the FBI people that's again trying to catch her, and they had developed this crush. I pitched that story to them, and I developed an idea of, because for me it's very interesting the way psychological, but this is more like a serial killer going after, get obsessed with the people, with the main person that's trying to catch him. That was the main idea. But I don't know, when I read what it was about. I don't know, I haven't watched them, but I think what they started to do is mixing elements of some stories. I recognize some of them that we have in this writer's room. Oh, I have this idea, maybe this trope, maybe the thing, and they start mixing different elements. I think that's what they do, what they did.
And I think to use AI as a support, it's okay. But as long as not a vertical is filmed in total in AI, I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
You don't want that as you don't want an IA written script. You don't want that.
No, not at all.
No, because the thing is, verticals are about emotions.
Right.
And AI is not able to feel emotions.
You can hear it immediately in a vertical if it's AI generated or not, because if you have people who have a profession which is very high, like a lawyer, a CEO, or whatever, and they're talking in a kind of language or their words, how would they say in some verticals, this is a low-life person, this don't fit. If you are a judge, you are actually intelligent, and if you speaking like someone who don't have a clue from anything, you hear it immediately. And it's what some other fans said once in a Instagram live. AI, if they're using it, for example, for special effects, that's fine. If they use it as a support for the movie, but don't use it for the full script. Don't use it even for the actors who are in this vertical, that they are all AI generated. I don't like that at all. Many years.
I'm sorry.
No, it's like many years ago when they started to develop robots. Everyone said, "Oh my God, no robots, because they stealing soon our jobs and so on." And it's the same with AI. If they doing everything with AI, these actors become jobless.
No, and the truth is, they are not. I don't know if they get there. I mean, there are people, very talented people right now in the screenwriter scene that are being hired to teach the AI to write like them. A thing that I mean, I would never, ever. Well, first, I don't think they are able to. There's no way. There's no human way AI will write like us. But if you don't have the talent, for example, I'm a very good writer of lyrics for music, but I'm completely clueless about music. And I have 15 albums in Spotify with my music, thanks to AI. And that gives me the way to make great music because I have that taste, but I don't know. I don't, I cannot sing, but I can write very beautiful songs in a lot of languages. And but the thing is, for real musicians, that's that's not good. That's but for me as a producer, there was no way. I had to hire musician. I had to hire people singing, and what I do is that I write the lyrics, and my lyrics are awesome, but all my lyrics wouldn't be able to see the light. And the truth is, I've been doing. There are a lot of songs there that are really, really good. And I'm not just saying it. I have a little that starts being followed.
Now you make me curious.
But the thing is when I don't think I will ever could, substitute someone that's a Mozart is a Mozart, and that cannot be reproduced by AI, right? That's my idea. Maybe I'm too, but a lot of people that don't know how to write, as I don't know a clue, I don't have a clue about music, and I can do a song and I could upload it to Spotify. A lot of people that are clueless about storytelling can do it with AI. It won't be that great, but it will be good enough.
And but you will see, it's not total made only in AI. It's a half part is made by a human, and music is made by AI. So it's a mix. That's okay again, as long as they don't use it total.
It's okay, but it's not okay for musicians. I know it. I mean, I have musicians in my family that hate me when I do that, and I don't care. I enjoy it. This is a hobby.
You do it just for fun. I talk to a few actors, and sometimes I'm asking, hey, in what kind of genre you want to play or whatever. And I talked to Sage Denga. He is playing mostly the father, or he played in The Laugh Too Risky to Resist, the granddad of Seth. He is a little bit older, but still not that old. But he said he would like to have one day a leading role, because he is not in the middle of his 20s or in the middle of his 30s, it's still possible that he could fall in love, even if he's 40, 50 or older. And why they don't show sometimes
Clooney and Julia Roberts, they are doing rom-com movies with them, and they are still. I agree.
But he said, sure, most people want to see the younger actors in a leading role, but why they don't put both leading roles, the male and female, which are in the middle age, they still can fall in love and have a romance and so on.
Share you this story. I will share you this beautiful story. I have a best-selling book in Mexico that's called Desde sus trazos rojos. It's like From Her Breaststrokes. And this is a thriller, a romantic thriller. And the main idea is the main character, female character, is 40 years old. And the main male character is 45 years old. And the male character is a widower that lost her beloved wife in when she gave birth to her second child. Now he has a teenager girl and a little baby, and he's alone, and he's devastated because the love of his life died, and he was in love with her since he was 18. They get married, at 21. They have this beautiful life together, and now he recently lost the baby is 3 years old, and yes, and the leading lady is a woman that an artistic, it used to be genius, a little genius, painting genius when she was a child, like a circus child, that very talented, like a Mozart, but in the painting scene. She grew awkwardly in this world because she was a genius. And when she's a teenager, she falls in love with her neighbor. And her neighbor is a paramedic and he dies saving people in an explosion, and they never even kissed. And she loses her very first love. So they meet. She never gets to explore love before that. She has a relationship, but then they meet when they are in the 40s. She has no, and the love story is very interesting because they both have their ghosts. She has the ghost of the tender love that never came to be, and she lost them very, very, very. And he has the loss of the real love, the woman he lived his life with, the mother of their child, their children, and they decided to take a chance. It's a supernatural, but here's the funny part. I wrote that story and it became a bestseller, and it started growing in Facebook and in Instagram and whatever. And I started having fans with that story. And the fun part of this, it was that those who loved the story were teenagers, and they feel they are Clara. Clara was my main character, but Clara was a middle-aged woman. The thing is that as I was writing the story, I took Clara from the very beginning, and I took her until she's the age where Eddie dies, and they completely can relate with her. And then we jump to this, because that's the story. Well, novel is written with like strokes, like when you are painting, that's the idea of this. This is a very different novel that you're used to read. But the thing is, I have bits and pieces of their life together, of their life, the love, how when she died, and how the ghosts always interact with them. He's always with her ghost. She's always with his ghost. And you don't completely understand what's the game there. And they are into a new relationship with their ghosts. But the funny part, and that's what's relevant here, is that the main followers and fans of this story were young ladies, were people in their 20s, in the 90s. It's like teens. And there was another funny part about my book, that it was not a fairy tale story. The ending is not. The ending,
it could happen in real life. And
yeah, but even though it was based in a real story, I mean, everything I wrote there was somehow inspired on a real story, based on a real story. But the thing is, when the ending of this story was not a fairy tale, because it was a thriller, a romantic thriller. And that's where I really mixed up with my fan base, because this was the thing. They wanted to buy the book. The girls turned around to their boyfriends and said, I want that book, buy it for me. It was a perfect gift from the boyfriend to the girlfriend. And that started selling. The book started getting sold. And then the girlfriend read the book, and they absolutely love it until the ending. But the ending didn't have a happy ending, so they hated it. They throw the book to the boyfriend, and then the boyfriend read the story. It was so funny. And I don't want this story. And at the ending, because they don't have the book, it has no. And it's in the book. This is not a love story. This is not a love story. This doesn't end well. I say it in the page. They say this is not a good story. This is not a happy story. But even though it's there, it's very funny, because then the boyfriends read it and they absolutely love because of the ending. And it was very funny. But well, that's the example I'm putting, that even though, because what they say, the producer said, no young woman will relate with a 40-year-old menopausal.
They do.
woman.
But let me explain it this way. Sure, most of the audience are females, and the average are maybe middle of the 30s, and until the 50s. That's the average. Sure, they have some people are younger, some are older, but and for sure these male actors, most females looking only for the male actors, they are handsome, they are big and strong and awesome. But if people watching a story, they want to imagine, hey, maybe I could be this character. And if it's especially the lead actors, which are mostly having a love thing going, not every female like a younger partner. So take a say in the same age a partner or even older. But I don't like those stories where they have an actor who's maybe 35 and they just putting some gray hair spray on it. So he's acting like he is the older one. Why you don't take an older gentleman to do it?
Very
Or
they're
an
very
older
handsome.
woman? And please, in those verticals, stop if you have an age gap thing. Stop using lead actresses, which are in real life over 18, but they look like 15 or 16. Sorry, I don't like that at all. At least take a female, she can be young, but don't let her look like a child. I'm sorry, that's a no-go in my eyes.
I agree. And no, the thing is, nowadays you can look younger when you are 50 or 40 years old.
I can.
A lot of my friends, I mean, it's like, oh, you look. I mean, there are some friends that don't look, but we as women look better than the men. I don't know why, you know.
I can give you an example. While I've been 14 years old, we had while I used to live in Berlin, we had a club for teenagers. You could only enter if you are 16. But you needed a letter of your mom or dad that they are allowing that you are going there. And at midnight, everyone who been underage, they had to leave the location. No, 14. Sorry, not 16, 14. I wasn't 14 at this point. But how I thought I can make myself look a little bit older, I put some makeup on. You could see 10 miles against the wind that I'm not 14 years old. Nowadays, if I'm talking to young men, like the sons of friends or something, I said, if you meet a girl and you are not sure how old she is, let her show her ID card, because sometimes you see a girl have makeup on, it's nice dressed. You said, okay, she's 18, she's 20. And then you ask, how old are you? I'm 12. What? That's crazy. So
it also happens the other way. My daughter is 30 years old and she looks 20.
I had last time a conversation too. Let's say it this way. I'm 47 years old and I don't feel like I'm 47. My brain is younger. My body feels sometimes like 70 or 80. But for my age, I think, without sounding cocky, I don't feel like I'm looking like 47, almost 50. It's always in the eye. Everyone sees differently, but especially if they are so young, please make sure that if it's not a high school storyline or a college storyline, then it's okay if she's a little bit younger. But if they having the age gap thing, don't use, sorry for the language, don't choose actors who looking like minors.
That's the casting thing they have to. I don't know. I don't know if you are familiar, but there were some times when they were some time ago when they were crafting the new series, and it was still the cable and the TV and the Warner Brothers series and whatever, that they started making these TV shows like Beverly Hills 90210 or the Smallville, that they pick up these insanely handsome and beautiful people that you wouldn't believe. I mean, everybody, I mean,
without a doubt.
there's no way everybody's so, blowing your mind of, good looking things. It felt so
Let's say
weird,
this,
you know?
yeah, let's say it this way. Even if these actresses are looking so young, they doing a good job. But
Yeah.
I think it's not okay to choose actresses who looking like children, like teenager. Choose some actresses who are where you can see they are older than 18.
Yeah,
You
like
know what I
mature.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the same, like I said earlier, choose actors in the middle age. And I'm not talking only about in their 40s, they can even be a little bit older. Because if we have in the audience ladies who are 50 or older, they wouldn't maybe choose a gentleman who is maybe 30
I believe that
or
the problem here is that they are starting to bump into this, and it's understandable, that it's too risky maybe for them, because yeah, they don't
yeah,
want
then
to
they
risk
should.
it, because it's like but they are it's like what Hollywood did some once, and they to start, for example, casting people over, weight.
Yeah,
A huge thing.
that's the
Yeah.
same. It's those stories are mostly bad anyway, only because the female lead is
If she's fat, it's the ugly Betty thing, If she has lenses, it's ugly instantly, It's like of races,
yeah, but
and fat and gray, and that's just, but slowly that's changing.
yeah. And I guess since there are so many fan pages out there or so many vertical lover who are talking publicly about what they like and what they dislike, and there are more and more production companies who are listening to the audience, what they want to see and what not. And I think that's amazing. And for example, MyDrama slash Holywater, they
Mhm.
doing it sometimes that they show us some pilot projects. That means these new storylines have the length of maybe 7 to 12 episodes. Unfortunately, they blending in something like what happened 5 years ago or 1 year later, and then they show us a vertical which has nothing in common with the first storyline, only that actors from the first storyline acting in the second one as well. Just leave the rest out of it. But if you want to try a new genre or a new storytelling way, then post on the app a pilot project, which you call also it's just a pilot project. You don't have to hide it, because people paying sometimes not a monthly or weekly subscription for these apps, and they're buying coins. And if I see there is a storyline and have maybe 70 episodes, and actually only 12 episodes are the new storyline, but you had to spend more money to get, because you think it's a full vertical of 70 episodes.
And
This
it's
is
not,
confusing, and
and
people
it's
pay
not,
a lot of money for it.
and it's not. Oh,
um
I'm really confused, because I believe it was. It's not.
no, like I said, on my drama they have a few pilot projects, like I said, 7 to 12 episodes,
But it's
and
not
then they
saying that
just
they are only 12 episodes. That doesn't.
it's not no, they stop the story right in the middle of the story, so you don't know how it's ending. It's just a few episodes,
Like when they
like
cancel a story, I don't know. They cancel your story in the middle of a season, and you don't know what happened. That was so
right.
horrible. And I
It's
have
like it's sometimes like the part of the free version of a vertical. After 10, 12 episodes, you actually have the payroll, and then you have to pay for it to watch actually the full vertical, usually way. But
uh-huh.
in this pilot project, there are only 10 to 12 or 7 to 12 episodes.
That's news for me. I didn't know that. I had to
Yeah,
watch
and
it. I mean,
I
because
always,
what I can
I
tell
al-
you, because
and they only doing it with Ukrainian verticals or Ukrainian storylines. And I always tell my audience, if you watch a new story, which is just a pilot project, please give the feedback to MyDrama. You can always send them a
You
DM
know,
on
I know for certain there are they do the pilot and they try the pilot, but when they try the pilot, then they go, okay, let's try the rest of the. It's like green lighting the thing. It's like when you
Yeah,
use for Netflix, you don't write the whole, I don't know, 10 episodes or 12 episodes. You write the first pilot, and once they watch it and it's good enough, and then, okay, let's do it. That's how they.
yeah. I mean, we have still some pilot projects where we are seeking and craving how the story is
And
going
you
on.
name some of them because I believe there might be some
Hold
of
on, hold on.
them.
There been much more pilot projects and two storylines. I guess there been a lot of fans who wrote MyDrama. Hey, where's the rest of the story? I want to see it. When does the full vertical coming out? And if as more people contacting MyDrama and giving them the feedback that they like the story, that they are craving to see how it's going on, then they decide to shoot the full vertical.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
from some actors, they only shot the pilot project. They didn't do the whole thing.
That's
But
good.
then
And
after a
if
while, they
it
shot the
didn't
full
work
vertical.
well in the numbers, they will not be a. I mean, there are a lot of projects I only write the pilots, for example. You know,
I think pilot projects are great to just check out, hey, how is this new story
something
telling?
I didn't like a lot about. I mean, I learned a lot about how MyDrama and Holywatear did their crafted their stories, but something I was never very. I mean, that's the way I am. I carefully craft every episode. Of course, you have to be careful of the pilot because the pilot is a hook, and if you and then they will pay for the rest of the story. But I don't agree that you just have to be, fully invested in the first 10 episodes or 12 episodes or whatever. And then the rest is, oh, that's okay. You go follow it.
Yeah, they check out how the response is, and if there is a pilot project where the audience don't say much to it or not many people click on it, then they don't show the full vertical. But like I said, there have been already two stories where they shot the full vertical, and it was amazing. And to like I said, usually I don't like pilot projects because if I'm starting to watch a new storyline, I want to see the whole thing. I'm not stopping in between, and I want to see the whole thing, and they have to react to it a little bit faster while shooting it, and so on, so we can see the full thing. But usually the apps don't do something like that, and I think if these vertical apps from the verticals worldwide want good stories, because in the audience, in this vertical space community, there are so many people who are really, really creative, who are starting to write their own stories, you know? And maybe not in this high quality like you would do it because you know how to do it, but they have ideas. And it's so important to include the audience in some stuff. And
It's like, well, that's how a lot of stories, 50 Shades of Grey was a fanfic, was a fanfic of a Twilight writer, O sea, she
okay,
was she was fan of Twilight and she translated it to this SMAD sexual thing with that, and it was a huge thing, and it turned out to best-selling books all over the world in several languages, and they made the movies, and it started as a fanfic and as a fanfic based in Twilight, the vampire
yeah.
thing, because it's the same story. If you analyze, it's exactly the same
I
story.
never watched Twilight.
Oh well, Twilight is like, okay, it was huge.
No, I'm sorry if I don't want to offend anyone, but everyone liked, what is his name? Something with Patterson. Everyone said, "Oh, he's so handsome." Oh
Called
no, he's far away, not that good looking like everyone's saying. And I wasn't into the story, but I seen a lot of popular
You
shows.
know what
I
happened?
didn't
Well,
see
what
them.
happened to me with Twilight is that long time before it became a huge global thing, I bumped into the book, the first book, and I read it originally of the Stephanie Meyer's book. And she is very fun. She writes very fondly. I mean, it's just the translations in Spanish, at least, were horrible. But the way she wrote in English, it was very fun to read, you know,
Yeah,
and it was very light, and it was really. But yeah, it's true. I mean, it's like, well, but it was a huge thing, and for a long time, the interesting part of Twilight was the craving. Imagining a vampire that had lived ages, that looks like a
mhm.
70-year-old, and suddenly, and he is not into drinking human blood because that's wrong, because he's moral, he's a good person, being a vampire or whatever. And the thing is, he finds out he craves the scent. He wants to devour the very person he loves, and that gets a very, it's very passionate, because I want to eat you, you know, I want to kill you. You awaken the worst instincts in me, and I want to kill you, and at the same time you're the most precious thing for me, you know. That's
I
a
guess
appealing, that was appealing thing, and that's perfectly that's the master and the submissive, the thing, that kind of work, that works pretty well, even though
yeah, I believe so. But since I never seen a script, how do you write it? Do you just write down the whole story, or do you even write down the monologue or dialogues in it? Lo- um,
no, you have to. At the beginning, you start with project. You start with a log line that is like 2 lines with a. You have the title. You have tropes. For example, billionaire, love triangle, hidden identity, werewolf thing.
mhm.
You know, all the popular tropes, so the producers know if they want to do those tropes. And then you have the log line, and then you have a very, well, that's how I do it. I don't know how other people work, but then you have your brief summary where you say basically what happens. Some producers ask you for characters, so you define the main characters, not a lot, 2 or 3 lines for each one. And then if they like your story, they hire you, or they say we're gonna do it, whatever. You have developed to develop the treatment. This is like a detailed thing of what happens in the whole series, and you have like that's 3 pages, 5 pages, 1.5 pages. It all depends. And once you have that, you have to turn it into the number of episodes you want. For example, for MyDrama, normally 60 episodes. You don't have a script.
Yeah, sometimes even more.
But for Chinese verticals, there was between 1880 and 120. And the episodes for them are longer. They can have like a 2 minute episode or 3 minute episode, 2 minutes and a half. And they were in Holywatear, they were very restricted. It's like 1 minute.
Yeah.
And you have a way to measure it because you use a program called Final Draft. That's a professional formatting program that it works perfectly, because it is, if you do it correctly, 1 page is 1 minute in the, more or less, you know, it all depends. But
Mhm.
supposedly, if you have 1 page in the script, is 1 minute in the screen. You once you have your beats, you have to translate it to this format, and of course you have to craft very well the dialogues. The dialogues are very important. The dialogues are the main thing. If you have 2 characters speaking the same, you're wrong. That's when you realize a script is not well done. When you realize the bartender speaks the same that the lawyer, and the you know the maid
Yes.
speaks the same like the leading lady, and they have the same expressions, and it's obvious the same person wrote it. That's not well done. And the way, because you and I, we speak very differently, even though we were both women. I'm older than you, but we were almost in the same range of generational thing. But I'm from Mexico, you're from Germany, and though we have common things, we don't express the same, we don't talk the same, we don't have the same way of talking. It's very important for me. That was the hardest part for me, learning to craft a script, not for verticals, for anything, because you have to understand how your characters speak. And I have a very it's a very good trick. For example, I wrote this drama feature where I picture Anthony Hopkins acting it. Of course, if they ever make the movie, I will never get Anthony Hopkins. That's delusional, but it doesn't matter. When I was writing it,
never.
I don't know,
you never know what's gonna happening in life.
The first sci-fi picture I ever written was a picture I dreamt. I went to sleep and I dreamed the whole movie from the start to the ending. And it was a picture that Nicolas Cage was filming. It was like you watch a Nicolas Cage sci-fi movie that was done, as you watch Terminator, as you watch whatever. And when I woke up, I realized that movie was not done. And I said, I'm going to write it. And I wrote it, and I start knocking, and I get to it was funny because I get to Nicolas Cage rep. I talk with him, but my problem was that Nicolas Cage age didn't check with what I dreamt, because he's older now. He's much older now. I'm sorry, man, I had a call. But, well, the thing is, that was just a parenthesis about the movies. I'm sorry about losing the train of thoughts. I was speaking about
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that's how I wrote this story, this drama. I never wrote a drama like this before, and they kept asking me for a drama, and I made this story, and my main character was Anthony Hopkins. And it was very funny. It was a very funny experience. It was a feature, but my main character was Anthony Hopkins, and then the leading lady was a young lady. It was, I think, it's Saoirse Ronan, the lady that acts like is an Irish girl, a very beautiful Irish girl. Well, it's called Saoirse Ronan. Well, it doesn't matter. And the other person was Timothy. When I was writing the script, it was so obvious for me that my main character was Anthony Hopkins, and the other one that I started writing, thinking about how they would look when they act the movie. And that way, the script was amazing, because the two voices were all the voices of the characters were completely different. And that's a very easy trick to do. If you're writing a script and you don't get, because if not, you're speaking with your own voice. And if you speak with your own voice, every voice will be the same. And that's even worse when ChatGPT does it. That's for obvious reason. But that's a very trick when you write scripts.
No, and is for you there a big difference between writing a script for TV movie, cinema movie, or for a vertical?
Completely. You have to think differently. You have to, first of all, not every story works for verticals, because you need enough things emotionally happening in 1 minute. You need twists, emotional twists every 20 seconds if you're lucky. And you need amazing cliffhangers every minute. And that doesn't happen in features and in series and normal life. You have to be very specific. You have to get rid of the superfluous. You just have 1 minute to tell you the story, to present the character, to move forward the story, to make it interesting. And above all, you need to be compelling enough and believable enough and hooked enough. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean,
I can imagine.
you really need to crafting them the stories, and of course there are people that don't understand that, and there are people that believe that they edit the normal soap opera into a 1 minute episode. They are doing the same thing, and that's not the way it's done.
No, no.
You have, it's another language, it's a new language, it's different. You have to learn the language. Not any screenwriter can write, that's for sure.
For example, I'm not a writer. I'm
Mhm.
not a writer at all. I'm not even in German. I always, I'm too stupid to do something like that. So you won't see that
Never
I'm.
say that, please. Never say that. You cannot. No, that's true. I
Okay.
will tell you something, because words have value, and words are important. And if you even joking, I know you were joking, not even joking, but this is true. I
I
mean,
have my skills in other parts.
no, well, you cannot say I sing like cats, worse than cats. If I go into the shower and I start singing, the little drops try to choke me. I don't sing anymore. But that doesn't mean I'm if you're a fish and you don't know how to climb a tree, that's not your fault. It's because you're a fish. You know how to swim. That's the only thing it is. But and I'm sorry, but I really got triggered when people treat themselves badly with words.
Yeah.
Because that's
No,
not good.
I'm just not a writer. And you mostly will see, even if you if someone is DMing me, it's don't take long. As soon as I can, I send a voice message, because I'm not a texter. I mean, I can write, but I'm not able to write stories or reviews that it sounds good, not even in German. But I hate to text on my cell phone. I hate to text on there. So you will mostly get from me a voice message or something like that. But anyway, since we both could go on talking and talking and talking, because it's
It's
really
ending
interesting.
somewhere.
No, but I have actually one last question. If there were in which genre is actually your favorite, where you love to write stories?
I love
Is there?
mixed genres. I love when you can mix a little bit of this with a little bit of, for example, I was always driven to teen drama, melodrama thing, but mixed
Yeah.
with maybe some corporate, other elements of corporate, or the billionaire thing is very funny to write. The with a little bit spicy thriller thing, and the monster thing is I love to use. If you ask me, I've been comfortable exploring a lot of genres. I do well in thrillers and romance and rom-coms and sci-fi. But what I love is that, and that's something you do eventually when you write. I'm 53 years old right now, and I've been writing since I'm 3 years old. When I was three, I won my first award, literary award, and they booked.
Wow.
And I was a little very, I was a. I told you I was like a circus little girl when because they published the book. It became bestseller in several countries in Latin America. It was three. I thought, oh, that's who I am. I'm a writer, and that was easier for me. And I kept writing all my life. I was a great reader, so I have something very funny, that I'm a copycat. I didn't realize that, but I'm a very good copycat. When I read it, I don't know, H.P. Lovecraft, that is a very horror thing. I started writing in the style. I copy the style, but it's not like when you get the accent of some places. I don't know if I go to Texas and I start talking like people from, I don't know, Spain or whatever, because you are there and you get it. That happens to
Yeah.
me in the writing style. The whole my whole life, I've been exploring genres, voices, styles, formats, everything. I have some ones I don't like. For example, I don't like to write historical things because my memory is not good, and it takes a lot of investigation. And even you have a lot of investigation, it's not as fun as having fiction. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy like certain movies that are about the World War or whatever, but that's harder for me to write because I don't have a good memory. I know my limitations, but I love sci-fi because I love science and I love aliens. I love all weird stuff. I love weird stuff. I love drama. I love. I love romance. I love this thrilling thing. I love psychological thrillers or psychological horror. Is for me
Ooh,
fantastic
and
for me.
I can tell you there are a lot of fans out there, even for under the actors. They would love to play in a horror vertical or in a thriller and so on.
I don't know if Ukrainian verticals are going that way, but I do know, and I've been speaking with a lot of producers of other parts of the world that they are into thrillers and horrors. I think that's
They
the next space for the genres in verticals.
sometimes what they had on Real Short a thriller. It's called Look into My Eyes. It's actually a totally different way how to shoot the vertical, because it's in a POV way they shot it, and I don't like that at all. But I love thriller. I'm not a horror fan because I only can watch horror if I turn off the sound and I can hide behind my couch.
I was like you, but when you start writing it, it gets very funny. It gets
Yeah,
very.
that's some actors from worldwide. They had the subject in different interviews, and they said, "Hey, I'm not a horror movie fan at all, but I love to shoot it." So it's a
Yeah,
different
the thing
way.
is, it's a very nice challenge, and the thing is, I don't like horror because I don't like blood. I don't like gore things. I hate gore things. I don't enjoy. I don't have thirst for blood as everybody does. I don't. I hate it.
No,
But
but a
horror,
good
a lot of horror
thriller is
movies are like like they're like torture, and that I don't like it. But I like psychological. I like, for example, ghost stories. I love ghost stories because I mean it's like
ooh,
Ooh, I just
ooh.
if I'm talking to you, I have this conversation with an Italian producer that he asked me for some verticals to pitch him some horror verticals, and I was talking about an experience I had when I was younger I was at college with the Ouija board, and where I get really really spooky. I mean, it get really spooky, and with the Ouija board it was like those kind of stories you tell when you are at the fire in the camp and with the marshmallows. I love that
That's great.
because everybody,
But
I think everybody has a good ghost story in their lives. But I don't know, at some point
I
you
have
have
to
to.
think about it. I really have to think about it. I don't have one at the moment. That's what I give myself as a homework.
That's great.
To think about that. Now, I just don't like horror because I wasn't allowed to watch it after a certain time while I've been a kid, TV,
They
and
were
I
trying
watched
to
something
protect
what was
you.
definitely not for kids, and this stuck so in my head. So I'm not a horror movie fan at all.
But
But
that's what
anyway,
I'm saying. You are not you don't like sexy scenes, and that's not awkward. That's not good. You are not able to. Yeah, yeah.
but I can say I adore everyone who is able to write such great stories and is able that this storyline get filmed and entertain us.
It's so
Interesting,
evolving. Yeah.
and it's really interesting to talk to you and to learn more about script or screenwriting, because that's what most of the audience like. They love BTS from set, but they also want to know everything what's happening behind the camera. Because if you are not working in this business, you don't know what's going on. And maybe they learn more about it and understand some things a little bit better. And like I said, we met in the short drama forum last
Mhm.
weekend. And I didn't knew something about you until you wrote, "Hey, I wrote for MyDrama for Verticals." That what? Hold on, we have to talk.
Thank you for the invitation. I would appreciate, though, I think I speak a little too much about about my experience there. And I would appreciate if you feel there are some sensitive things I shouldn't have said that are not published there. I don't know. It's like,
No, it's all fine, and I have to thank you because you wrote 3 amazing Ukrainian verticals.
thank you.
I really,
I
really
mean,
love them, and
I would, I must say that, I mean, I worked with very creative people. Working for Holywatear was an amazing experience for me. I'm looking forward. I might be hopping in with AIMO. They contacted me not long ago, so maybe we can. I don't know.
they are amazing. They
I mean,
are amazing, and I cross my fingers for you because
hopefully, I already know how they work. I mean, I already know that, and I
so
really like it. Of course, my biggest experience was working for them, so it was also my school. I
and
know
we talked and we talked about maybe some subjects which it's good maybe for storytelling, like I said, especially if it's for Ukrainian. Write a story for middle-aged people, and if you have an age gap thing, don't choose in the cast someone who's 35 or 30 and you have an actress which is maybe 18. Choose people who are not just acting like they are that old, who are really that old. We are not old. We are in the perfect age. It's getting more interesting as older as you get, but you know what I mean. Anyway, like I said, thank you so much for your stories, and I personally enjoyed it really because After Risk It to Resist and The Alpha Mate Who Cried Wolf are actually all 3 are one of the favorites I have. And I know from a lot of in the audience that they enjoyed those stories as well. And it was a pleasure to meeting you.
hopefully we will talk again soon.